Warning. The following program contains strong language and subject matter which may be offensive to some viewers and/or inappropriate for children. The content within this program is intended for mature audiences only.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Inside the Drag Closet, the interactive vodcast where we talk about all things drag and some things that aren't. Who knows? We're really just here to have a dark Christmas. Hello everybody, it is me, Jade. It is Wednesday, it is 8:30 p.m. It is time to enjoy some drag. We have an incredible episode planned for this evening. We have wanted to do this episode for a while because it is a bit of a podcast crossover. Tonight I'm going to be joined by TRIXY Valentine and ALONYA Chest from Glitter on My Tips. If you are not subscribed to Glitter on My Tips, what is wrong with you? Go over there, find their Facebook page, follow them right now because their shows are incredible. I was one of the first guests on the show and it was an absolute treat. If you love drag, follow these vodcasts. Don't forget to support local drag. That's a very important thing right now. We're going to come back to that in just a little bit. But before we go any further, I think it's time for a little who, what, where about me. Who am I? My name is Jade. I am a drag artist based out of South Central Pennsylvania. I love the art of drag because it allows me to pretend. What am I wearing? I wanted to do something different tonight. I have been going through some stuff right now and I needed to do a very quick face. So I wanted to do a mask face this evening. I wanted to do dark Christmas tonight. I was going to do an outfit similar to this on Friday. We're going to come back to that. Jade is off her rocker tonight. Where can you find me? Well, you can find me every other Wednesday here on Inside the Drag Closet, available on Facebook and YouTube. You can find me at, I didn't download it. You can find me at 7:04 this Sunday. We are doing a birthday bash for Eric Selvey, who is the president of Central Pennsylvania Pride. It is his 65th birthday. There are performers there. It'll be myself, Miliana Denial, Poison, and Betty Whitecastle. So you don't want to miss that. That show starts at 8 p.m. It's going to be an absolute treat. But enough about me. You are here for my incredible guests. So without further ado, I want to welcome back to Inside the Drag Closet two people who have been here before and I'm super happy to have back. Let's welcome TRIXY Valentine and ALONYA Chest.
Hello.
How you doing, girl?
We're professional.
Exactly. Look at this holidayness right here.
You like this? You want? I'll wrap any package tonight, any or unwrap actually. But
I was gonna say I take a pill for mine.
Oh my God!
What? That's so PG.
I adore you both, and I'm not just saying that because Alanya is my niece.
Oh well, I would. Yeah. That's the only reason.
I feel like you should preface by saying "pretty niece."
Oh,
that's true. That is true. Mm-hmm. And now Sanika, who is in the comment section, is going to kill me. Hi, Sanika. I like that Glitter on My Tips is watching the show this evening. That's fun. I have a question for the two of you. How did you come up with Glitter on My Tips?
Trixie calls me and was like, "So what are we calling it?" And I was like, "We need something like that almost sounds raunchy."
Mm-hmm.
Like it needs to be punny. Like my big thing for drag is I love a punny name, ones that are not overused. And honestly, I was like, she's like, it has to be like tips. And I was like,
yeah,
finish on my tips.
Oh.
And she's like, no, that's too
far. Too far.
And I was like, okay. And then I was like,
And then I said table tipping.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then I was like, no, glitter on my tips. Because
And it
like
was
on my tips, I loved it.
we loved it. And so it has like a lot of different meanings in the sense. And then if you don't want to take it that way, you also, as drag performers, we are always dusting glitter off of our everything. So glitter on my tips to dust off to what gets, because the thing about glitter on my tips, it is what separates ours from yours in a sense is our lenses of drag, in the sense of like we talk about the business, professional, and leadership side of drag. Specifically, like what skills do you get from drag? Specifically, what can you actually take away other than looking this good and glam, and then also a different level of professionalism, right? Like, so like how do you actually make drag a professional career advancement, or how do you grow adolescents, not just somewhat always talked about in the sense of like you have to have a wig, you have to have this. Yeah, okay. But like you also have to have like good character. You also have to have good skills in the sense of communicating.
You have to have a good business acumen. Like if you want to do this for funsies, do it for funsies. That's great. But, and I've said this before, if you're jumping into the drag world for funsies, understand your funsies is someone's job.
Mm-hmm. Ooh,
And that's part of one of the things that Trixie and I have talked about extensively is you have so many admirers of drag who do it as a hobby, unintentionally oversaturating the market when some of us rely on this as a job.
Mm-hmm.
And truly, drag has changed so much since we started. And I was literally telling Trixie not even 3 days ago, I was like, I forgot that I started drag before Drag Race really became popular. Yeah. And it was at that time where you had to do everything yourself. There were no designers we weren't tagging designers. We were making it ourselves. And you had so much pride. Like, I did this myself. And now it's like, well, it's like a peeing competition as to who can use the most money. Well, I'm wearing so-and-so. I'm like, granted, give credit where credit is due. These babies are buying expensive drag, not getting booked, and not seeing a return on their investment because it's a hobby.
Go ahead.
Oh no, you're good. You go.
I've watched girls blow so much money on drag, but they don't focus on their performance ability. They're like, but this outfit's expensive. The outfit's not doing the job.
Zero stage presence as well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be very, very candid because honestly, that's the mood that you two already know I'm in today. No, it's these babies are expecting well-paid bookings. And I'm sorry, would you walk into an employer's office and say, I just started and this is a hobby, pay me? It's a job for some of us. Like, I don't think, like, I remember Trixie and I have had so many conversations about the entitled baby queens who will slide on into our DMs. You don't book me. Did you show up? Well, I have so many followers and I bought these expensive. That's not your employment. You employ a designer.
Yeah. I mean, so what I'll add on to it, not like I definitely don't want anyone who is listening who is baby queen to feel discouraged by any of this conversation. Absolutely not. But what I will say is don't expect to gain certain recognition when you are trying to locally grow and then grow on a state level and then a national level. Like, that takes time. Yes, there is like it is who you know type of situation, but how are you putting yourself out there? And there's this comparison of like, let me compare myself to get to that person. Like, well, that person's been in it for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. So I I don't think you understand the history. And I'll say it because I loved when she posted this. Michelle Sterling posted something forever ago that specifically said to know the history, know who walked in the shoes to get you to where you are today. And so many performers and that are coming out or wanting to do drag within the last 3 to 4 years don't know that history. At least in where I can say in the Pennsylvania region, I can't speak for all regions, but that is the number one fact I can say is you need to be able to say thank you, give grace, gratitude, but recognize the shoes you're filling are people who were the trailblazers of how we got here today.
Because if there's one thing, I absolutely took the time. I feel as though, again, this is not to discourage babies. Let me give you encouragement. Take your time. Your favorite did not get there in a matter of 2 days, 2 months, or even 2 years. The people who are still doing drag and have been for at least a decade didn't rush it.
Mm-mm.
They took their time. They supported. That was one that I feel like nobody does anymore is the babies will DM to be in a show, but they won't show up to the show.
There are a few technicalities with that, but like, because there are shows I do and I love, but they're hours away. So it's difficult to get there. But I've established myself. So when I reach out, I don't flippantly go, hi, put me in your show. It's always, oh my gosh, I've heard so many great things about your show. I'm networking. Do you have a spot I could do?
Yeah.
I want to come in and see it.
Yeah.
And not only that, but even if you just ask for a tip spot, like if you're not going to show support, do a tip. You're still going to get money. At the same time, you need the experience in order to also get the compensation that matches it. Your investment into your drag should be more of time and effort, not just money. Your favorite did not buy their way to the top. Nope. They worked their butt off. And I can promise you that your favorite has probably been through some of the hardest times financially. The hardest times financially to get to where they are. They sacrificed their own financial security to invest in their drag, not just blowing money just to blow money, to develop skills. To have something that lasts longer than just a costume. Your costume's not gonna last that long. No matter how well you take care of it, it's not gonna last that long. And what, you just spent $600 on it, and now you're expecting me to pay you $600 to be in an event when you've performed twice. I would rather see you go to Forever 21, or sorry, the thrift store, and ham up an outfit, stone it down, and show up in even a hard front wig. Show up. And I can promise you, I have absolutely, almost every single time that another performer is in the audience, especially if they're a baby, do you want to just email me a song and you can perform? I can guarantee that there are so many girls who will tell you, yeah, I was literally just in the audience and drag, like just for funsies. And she asked, and I was just like, sure. Yeah. There is so much more I'm willing to do when you come and meet me and not just ask me for things.
Yeah. Also, thank you for calling me out that I'm wearing a jacket from the thrift store in a hard part line.
But you elevated it. That's the thing.
Oh, yeah.
You did. You rhinestoned your face. It elevated it so well.
Girl, I hate you. Who let her on this show?
Ooh, I had a quote a while ago, and I forget what it was. I have it written down somewhere. It was elevate or leave.
Elevate or leave. I mean, it's true. It's in the book I wrote related to tips. It's called Mediocre to Magnificent. I think it's tip number 7.
Mine is right over here too.
Mediocre to magnificent. The best lesson learned is that what you put into your drag is what you will get back. The fine line between mediocre and magnificent is quality.
You're welcome.
Check out Tipping is a Must, everybody.
Found on Amazon.
And if you
Available on
purchase
iTunes.
and you show up to one of Trixie's events, she might even autograph it for you.
Yeah, and a lip print.
So
Jade, I don't remember. Did I sign yours ever?
Who? Mine?
You. Yeah, did I sign your copy?
Jade and Derek.
Oh,
Slay
God.
and be sickening. Give more than just the tip.
Give more than just the tip. I'm screaming.
Prostitute. Not that there's anything wrong with that. But.
No, nothing wrong, but I like the full amount. Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
So, we digress.
But yeah, so happy to be here. Happy to know what glitter on my tip is all about.
Exactly.
Do what Evelyn Phantasma does. Order it. Order the Kindle version. And ask Trixie to sign a piece of paper and send a picture to you, and then you can forge her signature.
Thank you for that. Thank you for now, like fraudulent.
Listen, with the influx of Instagram accounts that are impersonating drag queens, there has been such a massive influx of like secondary, like fake people taking the identities of these drag performers and then asking for money. We don't have money. I don't know why you're impersonating. People don't really give us money unless we're doing something. Wrong people to try and rob.
There's so many, like, I've kind of going back to talking about baby queens and stuff and learning the history. I wanted to talk a little bit about a situation I've been in recently, and I'm not going to call this person out, but one thing I want to impart to baby queens and just the audience in general, know the difference between drag, cross-dressing, trans, and a fetish. I've had someone reaching out to me numerous times. Can you get me into Divas Down Under? No, I can't. Come and see the show. You will also understand that that is a tough show. I'd say, actually, I'm gonna derail to that. Come and see the show. That is no longer happening. Divas Down Under has done its last performance. We don't know what has happened, but we have decided we are halting the show indefinitely. It may come back someday, but for right now, the show is on hold. And that's another thing, and I wanted to talk to the two of you about that. What happens, and I know this is something we've all been through, when you're producing a show, you're advertising a show, and the ticket sales aren't there, and then people are like, once the show cancels, oh, I was going to buy my tickets tomorrow. I see that. Yeah.
So I tell them to eat my ass. Respectfully.
With
Honestly,
consent.
it doesn't have to be respectful.
Like at least like get like a little napkin, tuck it into your shirt, maybe on the lap first.
I'll hand them a spoon. At least they don't have to do it barehanded. Because here's my thing. So I have a rule now. I started this rule this year because I got tired of like there are shows that I had that I would pay out of my own pocket because I promised what it was. And I have different business models for each show. I'm very upfront. I'm very forward with things. But when numbers go down, and for many different reasons, like it's not just one, but people turn around and go, but we wanted to come to the show. I always said, so then where was the interest? Where was you liking it? Where was you commenting it? Where was you sharing it? When did you reach out to talk to it? And because I no longer buy the, oh, I didn't know about it. You literally follow me. You literally like other, but you didn't see this one thing that's been posted for weeks. So for me, I now, like, I don't take it personal. It is business, right? And I'm like, for me, I have if we don't sell 50% of the capacity prior to the show, prior to 1 week before the show, maybe 5 days, I cut it. We're done, because there's no way I'm going to bring entertainers in with not an audience or even to be paid, because we're not even being paid that much anyway, depending on what show it is. Like if I'm talking about local shows and stuff, because I have the other side where I go to conferences and seminars and I'm the entertainment, I'm the host, I have colleges. So that's a whole different level that is on its own. So what I'm speaking about are the shows that are like solely us and based on us. And so for me, if person wants to come into my DMs, which has happened, and go, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm gonna be like, no, you weren't. Don't come and lie to me. Don't come lie to me. Don't come talk to me. Because if that were the case, it would have been noted. Like we've been into this game. We've been into the game of drag for so long that no longer holds water, because I've been doing drags in my area for over 5 years, specifically 90% produced by myself. And I've known these people and the people that are in it to know, like, that's not true. Because if it's a show you wanted to be at, you would have been the first. You would have been the first. So.
And I'm over it's performative.
Mm-hmm.
It's completely performative, and it's frustrating. It's like, I've been running the state college drag scene since 2018. Since 2018. And of course, I have this, and I talk to Trixie about this I complain every single year. I'm in a college town. Once they turn 21, they leave. So every year I have to rebuild that scene completely by myself.
Mm-hmm.
And you saying that, well, I wanted to go, with interest comes action. Not after, before. I know, because when people want to support the show, they've reached out to me and I've literally told them, come, I won't charge you cover. I want you to enjoy it because I know that you normally support the show. I will bring you in through the side entrance. I will make sure that you have a seat close to the front. Why? Because I know that previously you've always supported, and just because you don't have money now does not mean that you shouldn't be able to enjoy this show. I would rather have a completely packed show of people who are enjoying it, tipping, and saying beforehand, I want to go, or, hey, I can afford to go, but my partner can't. Bring them. Bring them.
Mm-hmm.
If the seat was going to be empty anyways.
Mm-hmm. And all of this kind of feeds into, like, something we're noticing in our community right now. Shows are disappearing.
Yeah.
Lots of shows are disappearing. Like, I am really crushed. Like, I literally just downloaded both of these. Like, look, Divas Down Under, our Christmas show, which is always sold out, just canceled.
Mm-hmm.
We had maybe a fifth of our, no, it wasn't, it was less than a fifth. Like, we didn't have enough tickets to even do the show. And I feel bad for the people who did get tickets, but, you know, and I know there are tricky things with that. Like, Eventbrite has their service charges. I get that. That sucks sometimes, but we were trying to come up with stuff, but it's, you know, Divas Down Under is on a hiatus. We may never come back. We have, you know, Derek went and chatted with the owners of the Comedy Zone, and there's no bad blood there. We just don't know what it is. And especially in the political climate we are about to walk into, we cannot have these shows disappearing.
Yeah.
They are important to what we do.
They're safe spaces.
They're safe spaces, and they're important to our identity and our art. And, you know, these are things we need right now because things are about to get pretty rough. I'm an alarmist. I don't care. Like, I think things are going to be really rough. Like, sorry. Go for it.
No, you good. You good.
Ugh.
I know for me, and that is my biggest thing, because for me, I know for myself, have that same feeling of not wanting shows to go away for many different reasons. But I also know, depending on what areas we are, like for myself, there's not many people in my area who can put on good shows. And I'm going to specifically say good shows, quality-based shows. That is the number one thing I have to continuously say is quality-based shows, because quality does matter. And that's not just in who you bring. That's how the atmosphere of the show goes. That's how the places and the venue that you have. That is in the accessibility and inclusivity of the show. There is so much to quality. So when I say quality, I'd hope whoever's listening ain't saying like, oh yeah, you have to do splits and gesture. I was like, no, you don't. I brought in so many people that bring in so many people, because typically for me, I have to bring in my locals because the people know the locals and they're willing to come see them. But there's more than just to who's on your stage that creates quality. And for me, I have hit a point this year in not putting in the energy to consistently try to put on shows and then teach someone else how to do it so then they can run it. And then all these ego things come in. And I'm just like, for me, I have hit a mark where I've extended myself too far for people who are not queer people, who are not drag people, who are the business owners to people. And they go, well, we want your money. We want to bring people in. And I go, yeah, but you're not supporting the community the way it needs to. You're not paying me what I know I deserve and worth, and the other people that are in it. You want to say you want a quick dollar, but at the same time, we want to be able to live authentically where I don't have to constantly fight or argue or debate in a way that shows I should be here. And like one of my incidents this year was an owner of one of the venues that I have gone to. I don't know if they're the owner or the manager actually, but what had happened was they were just like, yeah, we're going to hold off and not do anymore. And I was like, oh, okay, no big deal. And they never gave me a reason why. And then when I found out, when reaching out, like when we're going to do it again, that's when they said, oh, it just was no longer working for us. And I'm just sitting like, can you tell me what was not working out for you? Because I saw your pockets lined. Our shows were always sold out. Nothing stopped. But they got tired of the harassment that was on their side. They got tired of the messages. They got tired of the things. They're going to be seen as the queer supporting folks for some of the locals. And I said, imagine living that. Imagine living that.
Imagine being on the receiving end of so much unwarranted hate.
Mm-hmm.
For just being yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, we're the issue, not your clergy.
Yeah. So that's to me the fight I'm done fighting. When my first question is, how much when you say you have my back, will you have my back?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Ally is a verb.
Yep.
It's an action. It's an action that it's not just about saying, I support. You don't get to enjoy Pride. You don't get to enjoy drag shows. You don't get to celebrate queer anything if it is only for your enjoyment.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Ladies, keep going. I will be right back.
You good?
But yeah, so Trixie, now that it's just the glitter on my tip shell.
We planned this whole time. This is how we hijacked Inside the Drag Closet. Did you know we're the new hosts? No, I'm just
I mean, granted, I do kind of look like my mother.
Well, I actually kind of look like mine too, except she'd had less rhinestones. She'd have this hair though.
You'd have to do Cher.
If I can turn back time. There you go.
But while we're waiting for Jade to get back, please absolutely leave comments, leave questions in the comments. I know that I probably seem a little aggressive tonight. I promise you I'm not. I got cold pizza waiting for me after this.
Yo, I love that. Hey, baby. Oh, thank you so much, Jennifer. Thank you. Also, Frank had a really good question. And it was, what
advice do you give to queens who want to support and welcome all with open arms?
Yeah, that's a great question. That is a great question. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first. Absolutely, we'll go first. Do more than lip service. Anything more than lip service.
Can you name what that means?
So when I say lip service, talk. All you're doing is talking. I love this. 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 With zero action. I want to ask me questions. This is not just about a business transaction. When I tell you that I love when baby queens ask questions, don't jump to booking. Ask me questions. I want to improve. I want to improve. I want to do better. I want to do this. What can I do? And I can promise you, like I talk to people who aren't even near me in other states will DM me and I'll go, absolutely. Like, let's schedule a call. I'd love to go over makeup with you. I would love to hear about your idea for a performance, and I'd love to give you feedback. Absolutely. There is nothing more flattering than somebody you don't know trusting you enough to give them feedback.
Yeah. I have to agree to that, because if I had to think about what advice do you give to drag individuals who want support, you have to understand where that support is coming from, because I've also seen the other end where people who want advice will use you and then go to someone else and say, I need help, even though you've watched them in that same circle. And for me, I've called it out. I've called people out. I go, hold up. Someone just helped you with this and you chose not to listen to them. And this person's giving you the same advice, but now you're giving them the good graces. That is the competitive mindset. That is not a collaborative mindset. So if someone's going to give you advice and you are not willing to take it, but you're going to go around and play victim, just make sure you call yourself out first. That's accountability.
Accountability
that is
delusion.
my biggest pet peeve. Sorry, Jade. I'll end it there. That was my biggest pet peeve.
I'm adding on top of yours because this is another thing. Babies who reach out to everyone but their mother or their mentor. Why are you going to me first when you have a mentor who knows how to do this? You ask them to be your mentor. Why are you not asking them questions? If they agreed to be your mentor, ask them questions. Ask them for help. If they're not, maybe you need to reevaluate that relationship.
That quote is everything. There's so many baby queens and kings wanting and needing that support and reassurance. They want to do it the right way and get the respect from those in their circle or area. But if you want the advice, take it.
Take it. I have absolutely, when I know that you have a mentor, I have absolutely messaged the mentor and said, are you not doing this? And they'll go, they didn't message me about this. I'll go back and I'll go message your mentor. That is what you ask them for something and they're there to support you. Guess what? When I call Amethyst, she supports me. I tell her what I want to do. I tell her, and guess what? She's been in the game longer. And granted, I've been in the game for almost 10 years. She's been in the game longer. I value her opinion. She is a wealth of knowledge.
Yeah.
And that, to me, is one of the biggest things, is knowing your history, respecting your history. Because if you don't know your history, it's bound to repeat itself. And guess what? Right now, your history, there's no bookings in your history, and it looks like it's going to keep repeating.
You're good, Jade.
To go along with history, know your history, because our history is being erased.
And it's also going to end up being repeating itself, which is not a good thing if you know the history. But with what I wanted to add to that also is, oh no, I lost it. It's Alonya, say your last thing that you just said.
I have ADHD too. You're asking the wrong person.
We were talking about support. So with if you're a person who's your reasoning why, that's what it was, your purpose. Not everyone has the same purpose of being or doing drag. And one of the things I found out with a lot of people who are like, support me. I like my Instagram DM, which I don't understand like the full understanding of why everyone always points it out, like messages me, because I don't always get back to them and I have to let them know with graces, is that people don't have the same why. And I don't care what someone reasons why, but you have to know what your reason why is. And there are certain people who I have learned the reason of why they started drag, why they're in drag, or how it's evolved. And I just sit here and go, I'm not the one that can help you. I can't help you because you actually don't know the reason why you did drag. You thought it was a hobby, cute and fun, and now you're in this middle thing. Like I have seen people where I go, cut the shit. If you're going to get out on that stage and go be on that stage, then own it. And then when I have to tell that advice, I have to go, well, why do you do drag? And then I hear the answer. I go, you need to find a better reason. Because that reason is not giving you depth. That reason is not giving you motivation. You are just here trying to look pretty, trying to collect a few coins. If that is your reason, let it be your reason, but you have to own it to $1 million then. You have to own it up to the stars and back. But my biggest reason, like that, there's the one thing I tell Alonya, we talk about this all the time. I was like, because the one thing I can say for the three of us on this call, our reason to start drag ain't nothing to do with getting applause, but it has everything to do with the community we've changed. And that holds a lot more weight than some of the reasons I've been hearing lately.
I'm going to be an instigator for.
I want to hear your reason for starting drag. I want to hear both of your reasons for starting drag. Actually, I don't want to hear yours. Actually, Trixie, I do want to hear your. I don't want to hear yours because I've already heard it.
I want to hear Jade.
Jade. I'm sure everyone else would love to hear it as well. Jade, how did you end up starting drag?
Ever since I was little, I always gravitated to like cool female characters in cartoons, and you know, the Baroness from G.I. Joe. Gem, just the entire show. And you know, I always had that feminine edge to me. I'm not trans identifying. I'm a drag queen, but there is a thing about femininity that I just love portraying on a stage. And then as I got older, I was like, you know what? I'm going to tempt fate. I'm going to audition for the female character. Why not? And I started getting female characters. The role that got me into starting to do drag was from a Charles Busch play. And if you don't know who Charles Busch is, look up Charles Busch. He did all of these incredible plays where he played the female lead. But it was called The Lady in Question. It was this like melodrama. It was over the top. And I was playing a 12-year-old murderous child who was obsessed with a Nazi soldier. It was a really weird show, but I was like, this is fun. I was 32 playing a 12-year-old and a lot of makeup. And that segued into me getting into the drag community. And I haven't looked back since. I love what I do. I am my own director most of the time. Every once in a while, it's nice to have someone go, hey, we're doing this theme. Can you do that? Love it. Love it. Girls who don't do theme shows, give me the booking instead. Say, don't take the gig if you're not going to do the gig. I get very heated about that. I love it. But yeah, that's why I started doing drag. I just love to perform. I love to make people smile. I just played a female character at Hershey Park. You know, wild, crazy. It was for Halloween, so she was a little creepy and there was something a little off about her, but you know,
had nuts.
So very on brand.
She ran a butcher shop. Everybody wanted her meat.
Okay.
You're welcome. How about you, Trixie? Why did you start?
My original reason also, I was a performer. So before I did drag, I did geek belly dancing where I dressed in cosplay, was in a belly dance troupe, and traveled the East Coast to conventions, cosplay, sci-fi, gaming, you name it. I did it for 4 years. And in the time span, I wanted drag because I remember seeing it, witnessing it, and that it was the electrifying power drag can bring to someone. That joy, that excitement. I remember watching who's now my drag mother, Tequila Daniels, for the first time and smiling. And I was like, why am I smiling right now? Like, all she's doing is this. But that's not all she was doing. She was creating a space for us to feel, let our hair down, to be happy, to excite, to say yes. You don't know why you say yes. You just did because it was good. And so I remember when I was like, I want to do that. I want to look good. I want to look fierce and powerful, cute, whatever the word. Actually, I always tell people my drag style is supposed to be a 50s style pinup girl that has her clothes on. So, you know, that's what I want. And when I was starting drag, I felt that electrifying power of seeing audience members excited or cheerful or emotional or whatever it might be. Because I was a busted queen in the beginning. I didn't look good at all. Like, I look at photos now, I'm like, ooh, okay. Alonya, you better stop. I don't look busted now. But my performances were always exciting and powerful in some way. what helped me solidify my stamp of continuing drag was knowing the change I had on people. Knowing when I got people to message me and goes, hey, and here's the thing, it wasn't my number that did it. It was us talking and them going, hey, you were the first person to ever recognize me and just talk to me like a human being. Oh, did you know you helped my brother come out? Did you know that I just admitted to my wife that I'm trans, right? Like all these stories unfolded in my stages of drag because I wasn't afraid while I was in drag to still be my authentic self of being an advocate and educator and all those other things I do out of drag. And all of it just morphed and shifted to where it is in today. And so my reasoning in drag now, or has always been, to make sure other people feel welcomed and other people feel wholesome and people have a space that when they come to, we're going to judge you out of shade. We're not going to judge you for existing though. So
we only read the ones we love.
Yeah.
That's genuinely the truth.
Speaking
if I don't
of
pick
this,
on you,
be afraid. This is my favorite answer to that question, by the way. Alize, I just wanted a peanut butter sandwich and they have them backstage at a drag show, and that's how I started.
Listen, I love my sister and her big back behind.
Come on, big back.
PG. Big back behind. BBB.
She wanted peanut butter because she already had jelly.
Miss Regina Holiday says, I really think true sisterhood is missing from drag nowadays. I started drag in 2012 and took a lengthy break. When I returned, it just feels different and not supportive. I hope to get back to that someday. I am always looking to learn and evolve from the people I get to perform with. I want to give her a shout out because Regina is incredible and she is always learning. She is always there. She is always supportive. And I kind of hate that that's your experience, Regina, because
I can agree with that sentiment, though. I can wholeheartedly agree with that sentiment. And that's part of the reason why when I book a show, I always invite the girls to stay over at my place. Come over to my place, hang out with me. Let's go out. Like, we don't have to drink if you don't want to. We can do whatever you'd like. Let's get dinner. Like, when we have brunch, I'll take the girls out for dinner. My tips for most of those shows, I use it to take them out. That's what I do with my tips. My tips seldom go to me. I want to take you out. I want you to have a great time. I want to build that community with you. You're not just a performer on that stage. You're a person. And I feel like it's not just the audience that forgets that we are people too, and we have feelings. We have our own stuff going on in our own lives that do not transfer to the stage. We're not trying to bring it to the stage. Some things can remain private. And when you build community, it makes all of us feel less lonely. So absolutely. Every single time I have a show, I'm like, do you want to spend the night? Like, you're more than welcome. I literally got a bigger apartment just so that I could house queens when they come up. I want to talk with you. I want to know who you are as a person, not just as a performer. I'm sure you are gorgeous, you're stunning on stage, and you're an immaculate performer. I want to know you as a person too. I want to build that community. Everyone thinks I'm scary, and maybe I am, but genuinely, I want to know who you are as a person. You are more than just what is on that stage.
You know, it's when I think of sisterhood or siblinghood or brotherhood, I definitely have in the drag community. I don't want to say it's not there because I would say the three of us right here have a very good sense of that. Alonya is one of the closest people I know that I can call in and out of drag now. But when it comes to the experience there, I definitely find that I don't always like, or maybe this, I don't want to be too confrontational. When I think of sisterhood, I have to think about what does that mean? And who does that mean for? Because for me, there are people that I'm like, you'll never be in my sisterhood, but that doesn't mean I will tear you down. It doesn't mean I won't knock you down. It doesn't mean that you are my enemy. Because in the real thing is I'm not going to be everyone's friend and they're not going to always be my friend. But what I will say, if you're in my show or backstage with me, you will feel welcomed. You will feel like you belong there. You'll feel just as good you are on that stage when you come backstage and off stage, because that's what it's supposed to be. The shows I enjoy is knowing when I leave that show, I was like, I had a good time, not from that front stage, from leaving that backstage. I had such a good time. I'm ready to text and call any other person. So for me, I will have to call out. Not everyone needs to be your friend. Sisterhood is used in a term, I guess, for me in the sense of like, you will be okay in my presence, in the sense that we have the same respect and understanding. And that to me is what's really missing, because they say it's a dog eat dog world. Well, baby, only one of us looks like a dog. If we're going to be that mindset, because I don't want the mindset to be everyone has to be friends, but I also want the mindset that you do have to create space for everyone.
It's about building community. Emphasis on builds. We are not tearing each other down. And if you are a performer who's tearing other performers down, I just think you're lower than what you're trying to tear down. It doesn't matter how long you've been performing, and it doesn't matter what you can bring. If you can't speak kindly and build each other up, because guess what? Even when I'm not in show director mode, my favorite thing in the world is doing other people's shows because I don't have to be in charge. That's why I love Trixie so much.
Same.
Like, there's like, firstly, obviously, show directors love booking other show directors because we know what to expect. Secondly, if something goes wrong, instant improv by the person. And thirdly, like, it's also still building community. We're talking about other performers, not in a negative light. We're saying, oh, like, did you get to work with this person? How were they? Like, we are having genuine conversations. And again, building community is not performative. It should not be performative. It should be genuine, and it should come from the heart. I will not sit here and tell somebody that I do not like that I do like them. That is, and if I did, my face said otherwise. I will always be transparent with you. If I don't like something that you did, I'm just going to say, I really just didn't care for that. And that's my problem to deal with, not yours. I had the issue with it. It was me. But I'm not going to hold that against you and be like, well, I need to tell everybody that this person is absolutely terrible. I didn't like that they did this. Now, if you're unprofessional, that's a different situation. I will absolutely if Trixie calls me and goes, hey, so-and-so's wanting to be in a show. This was my experience. And there have absolutely been times where she'll ask me and she's like, I'm not going to say that there have been times she's booked people that I've told her, they're going to drop at the last minute. And then she was like, I'll give them a chance.
But did I say you were right?
You did. You did. I just wanted to hear you say it. It's just so nice sometimes.
Well, now that we're public, I have had times where I've had to call on and say, "You right, girl." But to be fair, she said the same thing, so it's a trade-off.
I said the same thing all the time. That is one thing that I wish more show directors did. Having conversation with each other, because guess what? We're not going to have purview into every single scene. I will tell you right now, there have been so many times where someone who is local to my scene, I will instantaneously go, where are you from? I'm in a college town. They're not from the college town. Where are you from? They tell me if it's a small town in PA, especially if it's in Northeast PA, South Central Pennsylvania, or out west, I will reach out to the show director there. I'll go, this person was so good. They were professional. They showed up on time. They did the thing. They're newer. Do you have a spot open for them? That's not my responsibility to do. They might not have even asked me to. I'll ask them, are you okay with me doing this? Because you showed up.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're not wearing designer. I don't care if you look busted. Guess what? I still book Trixie.
Barely.
I love you.
I have a hypothetical for both of you.
We'd love
and I want to get your genuine reaction to this. And I'm very excited. This is going to be polarizing. What do you think about the drag artists who get into drag just to get on Drag Race?
I have to go. Yeah, I have to go now.
I'll absolutely be the person to start this conversation. If that's your reasoning, do it. But do not expect that when you get off of Drag Race that you're going to have a community. You didn't have a community before. You got bookings after. You need to build a community before. You need to be a part of the community before. Because nobody's going to have your back like your community. No one. And if there's one thing that I will absolutely say, if you want to be on Drag Race, look up how many of the girls have so many issues with the toxic fan base.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Look up how many of those performers who were established in their communities, respected, they quit doing drag.
Yep.
Because the drag race community, not the LGBT community, the drag race community was so toxic.
Mm-hmm.
You think that it's all glitz and glamour? I can promise you, I have worked with so many Rue girls, thankfully, not because of me, but because of Penn State. Thank you, Penn State. I've worked with so many Rue girls, and they'll all say the same thing. The fan base is so toxic. And I don't think they understand what that does to your mental health. You no longer want to go to work. It's a job. It's a job. It's not just glitz and glamour on TV. Guess what? You just opened the door for the whole entire world to critique you on things that you never asked to be critiqued on.
Yep.
And now, who are you going to go to? You didn't have a community.
For me, I'm not going to judge someone if that's their reasoning. I'll just say it that way. Like I will support someone like, hey, if that's your thing, that's your thing. I will support you. But I will hold someone accountable to consequences that come after that. Because the thing is, what someone else does can't take away or water us down or anything. So if I have to be truly honest, will I assess the judgment of character of someone? Yes. Right. If you're a clout chaser, you're a clout chaser. But to me, that doesn't make you better or worse than anyone else. But that does show me character. That does show me who you might be, right, and what you are. And so for me, that is where I just go, hey, if you think that's impressive to be on RuPaul's Drag Race, just to be on it, just to be on a show to get fame, then that's for them to do. What I will say though is there is much more in life. There is a greater impact that we have in the drag community than being on television, because I can't fathom the understanding when people want to use drag as a way of fame rather than for the means of other reasonings. And other reasonings could be for entertainment. For the other reasons could be community building. For the other reasons, it could be an internal sense of just showing vulnerability and then creating a sense of authorship and agency, right? But if someone is going to be like, I did drag so I can be on RuPaul's Drag Race, there's a spot for you, but it ain't in my line or at my table.
Yeah, no.
So, I'll say it like that.
On the
I won't
upside,
judge your ambition / your motives. Look into it further. That's all I'm going to say. Look into it further. Firstly, read the contracts for auditioning for Drag Race. Secondly, if you make it to Drag Race, read the contract before you agree to get on Drag Race. And I want you to tell me how many of the past contestants you still see in the spotlight if they did not win.
Regularly, because I know for me with that, I've worked with plenty of Rue girls who they still do drag very seldomly, but they don't ever bring up that they were on drag anymore.
They don't. Unless they are specifically being booked for the name of RuPaul's Drag Race. They don't say it. They don't say it. It's not as glamorous as you think. They go into debt. They go into so much debt. And listen, drag is expensive. Pageants are expensive. And that is like the biggest pageant. that is the biggest pageant. And the thing is, I think you only have, what, 3 weeks to get everything together? And you can't tell anyone that you're going on Drag Race. So you have to come up with that money. You need to figure out designers and how you're going to get those designers to get that to you on time without breaking the bank. Those girls, they take out loans. They take out massive loans for it. Have another reason. Don't let that be the only reason. If that is your only reason, I won't judge you. That's your reasoning. It's your life and your decision. Be mindful. Think it through. It's more than a hobby, and it's more than just a TV show. Like, Drag Race isn't even that much of a representative of what drag is anymore. It's not.
It glamorizes the worst parts.
It does. The most toxic parts.
I was going to say something. I have no idea what it was.
I'm sorry. My ADHD got the better of me.
No, well, I was going to say, on one hand, we are now in a society where doing drag can get people famous. That's a huge milestone. Let's keep it that way.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember what I was going to say. There is a great video on YouTube, and I forget who did it, but they have taken episodes from the early seasons and compared challenges that they did early to the challenges now. And they're like, here was the level of drag there, and here's the level of drag now. And it's like the worst of the modern Drag Race like outfits outshines the winners from like season 2. And it all comes down to budget. And you know, you got a good budget, that's great, but don't let the outfit wear you.
And that's rule number 1 in a pageant. Evening gown, you gotta wear the dress. You can't let the dress wear you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I also...
How are you going to develop stage presence if you're just auditioning for Drag Race and not performing?
Well,
how are you going to lip sync for your life?
Well,
unless you're like a trained dancer, which, I mean, there are a few. Unless you have like really good stunts, which kind of just oversaturates the performance as well. It's just RuPaul's best stunt race. What are you going to do? You don't know how to sew a leotard. You know how to do your makeup, and that's great. You're gorgeous. But what else can you do? What's the more?
I mean, just moving away from even just Drag Race, it's also the comparison of worth that I find people put us in when they say, "You gonna try out for Drag Race? I think you would be great. You should really try it out." And I sit there, and some people mean it in the sense of like, because you would be good enough, right? Like in that mindset, and they're trying to be supportive. And then in the other way, how I always hear it is, why would I need to be on Drag Race when you're seeing me right now? Why would, when my impact is already impacting you, what's the difference? What's the difference? What would be the difference in my drag here than if I was on the show? Now, there's that idea, like we can elevate ourselves. But if you're asking then for people to be elevated, there's multiple ways to do it than being on RuPaul's Drag Race.
Evelyn Phantasma, last comment that she put in there.
What do you do? Correct. What do you do successfully?
Absolutely. Bianca Del Rio. What do you do successfully? Quickly.
It's that part.
Bianca just nailed it. Like she
absolutely did.
Had the
It is a very, I know that some of the opinions that I've shared might be very polarizing. Well, let me reiterate. Message me, DM me, talk to me. Build the relationship with your show directors and your community for the purpose of building community. Don't do it performatively just to gain, because people will notice, people do talk, and it's not going to last forever. And you're going to end up losing.
And with that, we are losing venues every single day. And it's just going to keep getting worse. Be part of your community. Support everybody else. It's going to get more competitive. The more you compete with others, the less they want to work with you. So that is where the fellowship and the community of drag and the queer community in general, that's where we need to stick together, because it's only going to get weirder. So we have to have each other's backs.
Yes, like Regina Holiday?
Yep.
Like Regina Holiday said, I try not to compare myself to others, but to be inspired by those I admire. I will tell you right now, I love going to a pageant. I was just at Miss Gay Pennsylvania America, and when I tell you, it lit a fire under my ass. Because when I tell you, like, I got home and I was just like, oh, I need to elevate. I want to be the best version of myself. I want to show people that even though I've been doing this for a few, I'm not stagnant, I'm not stale. I still have so much to show you. And every year, it's just like fine wine. It just keeps getting better. And that's how it's supposed to be. There should be growth. There needs to be feedback. That's why I love a good pageant. I want the feedback. I want to hear your constructive feedback that is meant to help me grow.
I want to add something to that. If you want to get into the pageant circuit, please be open to feedback.
Yeah.
If you are in a competition, listen to the judges. They are not trying to tear you down. They are trying to elevate you.
And they can't give perfect scores to everyone. Nobody can have a perfect score, because to have a perfect score is to say that you are perfect and that there's no room for improvement. There is always room for improvement. It does not matter how long you've been doing drag. It does not matter how much money you have. It doesn't matter how polished you are. There's always room for improvement somewhere. You want to challenge yourself to the utmost? Enter a pageant. And like bar pageant, great entry level, go into a circuit. And I can promise you, you will grow so much if you allow yourself to accept that feedback.
Amber just posted something here, and that's it. You've got to be willing to be criticized. Yeah. Now, here's the thing, and this is something Chapel Roan has recently talked about. Just because we are in the public eye does not mean you are welcome to us completely. I am, I'm a performer outside of drag. I'm a performer in drag. My personal life, I keep pretty quiet because it's not for everyone to know. Those that know. And those are people I trust. 2 of them are right there.
And that's why I had to separate my Facebook.
Yeah.
I did that recently. I only did that recently. I had to make my own because I was no longer able to share my personal life without my personal life being brought up at my events.
Yeah.
If you are my friend on Facebook and it's my personal drag and you are going to go see Alonya, you're not going to go see David. You're seeing Alonya. Keep Alonya as Alonya.
Yeah.
David's not here. The second I am Alonya, I am Alonya. I am fully immersed in that. We are all human. You love us on stage. You think we're gorgeous. You think we're entertaining. And that's fantastic. We love that we are entertaining you and that you feel something. Please give us the respect and dignity that we are still human.
Yeah.
We have feelings and emotions. We might seem cold-hearted. I know I have a really bad RBF, but I can promise you, I cry a lot. Not in public. I cry a lot. I'm a human. I don't always share that publicly because that's a vulnerable moment. And those vulnerable moments belong to me when they're my vulnerable moment. Don't bring Alonya into David, and don't bring David into Alonya. They're 2 separate people. They just inhabit the same body.
Yeah.
And there are times where a performer will let you in a little bit. Like there have been numbers that I've done. Actually, before we get to that, I want to talk about Derek's helpful drag tip, because he sent it to me a little while ago, and what I was about to say really embodies this. And I think this is important, and I really think this is going to create a wonderful dialogue. So, Derek's helpful drag tip for this evening. Sometimes you just have to perform the number that makes you happy.
Top 30 ain't always going to do it for you.
Yep.
You know, I
Sharing
just
needles.
had this conversation. There are numbers that I've done that you'll never see again. I can name 3 of them right now that you will never see again, because I only did them in the time and the frame and where it was and the powerfulness of it. And the friend I was talking to, she was like, "You've never talked about these numbers." Like a song came on. I was like, "Oh, I performed this." She's like, "I've never seen you." And she's been to a lot of almost every single show within the last 4 years. And I said, "Well, some of these were before then. And one of these you just were not at that time." And the power to that, though, is because the creativity we have in drag, we sometimes fall into this trap. I've done it myself. I am not afraid to admit, like, I fall in inconsistency. Like the whole month of September, October, November, I performed the same 4 songs because that's what was selling. That's what the audience wanted to see. But what that did for me after was bring what I was doing and water it down, because I was no longer enjoying what I was doing. I was acting related to what needed to be done. And that's okay, right? Sometimes we just have to do it in that sense. But for me, I know the biggest thing was there are numbers that I sit here and go, I need to create a number piece that moves me. That when I do it and I get off that stage, I feel I was unstoppable, a masterpiece. The true meaning of art form of masterpiece is knowing that my worth was built in my passion. And that right there for me, and that tip was, ain't nobody will ever take away something that was a masterpiece in my heart, ever.
Ooh.
This is why she's gonna be a doctor of philosophy, not medical.
Sharon Needles famously said, "Lover or hater, there are times where you do the pride number that you just need to do. And then there are times your electricity is about to be shut off, so you do some gaga and make some money."
Yeah. Because I will absolutely 110% admit there is one very specific number I do when I want to make money. And there are numbers, like Trixie said, there are numbers that I have never done again, because when I did them, it was for an emotionally unbearable moment in my life. And I needed to get it out on stage. And honestly, I love those numbers because it allows me to be vulnerable on stage for you while still protecting my peace. I got to share my vulnerability safely without tearing anyone down, without involving anybody else. It's not petty drama, it's a performance. If I want to cry on stage, I might not do that number ever again, because that number is tied to a specific emotion. And if I don't feel that anymore, I don't want to try and embody it. I no longer feel it. It's time to let it go.
To add to that, though, that's exactly what that feeling is, though. That space when we get to perform the way we want and do allows us to let go of whatever. Like I know that, like, the numbers that I'll never do again is because I needed to let it go. But how did I let it go? By using drag as that muse. And I like that you brought up vulnerability, because vulnerability in those moments is you'll then connect to other people. Because there's 2 accounts in my life where I did a specific number because of a specific situation that happened in my life to me. It was harmful. It was hurtful. It was not good. And I remember when I did that number, I never did it again, because all those emotions officially, like, that's what I needed to get these emotions out in a way. And so, but what had happened, other people felt it and connected to it. And it was for me, I've had 2 experiences where I did numbers. It was an unspoken thing that needed to be said. It is where someone just held your hand, thanked you, nodded to you, hugged you. And that's all that needed to be said. And then you move on, right? And you had your moment. Have your moment. You took your moment. But then growth happened. Growth happened after that.
And I love a ballad for that. Me personally, I love a ballad for that. I love being able to stand on that stage and not worrying about collecting tips. Just lay it down in front if you'd like to. I don't expect it. This is me. I need to get this out, and I just want to feel human. I want to have a human experience with you. I want to share this human feeling with you. And I'm going to embody this fully. And I want you to feel it. And there's something so empowering about it, as well as when you share, it makes everyone else feel so less lonely. Because when you share that raw emotion on talent and they can relate to it, they might not have the same exact reasoning as you, but it touched them in a way that made them feel. And you did that. You sharing your vulnerability did that. It's not easy being vulnerable at all. When you see a performer being vulnerable, tip them a little extra because they're probably going through it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to smile so I don't cry.
I just want to hug y'all now.
Right.
I just want to bake a cake.
Wow. Oh, we got a question. Regina wants to know, on that note, what's your favorite number you've ever done?
Ooh.
Mine is always boys. It's a mix. Charlie XCX boys into Cupcake's Deep Throat.
Ah,
And I always have titty tassels. It's a reveal for titty tassels. And honestly, it's my favorite thing in the world.
I have like 4 answers to this because for different reasons, but I'll keep them short. The reasoning short. One was I did Praying by Kesha when it first came out. That was a number that was just emotionally connected for many similar reasons. And so that was very powerful. I won't say the second one that just came to mind. The other one was when I did The Lion King for when I competed for states, because I remember got off that stage and I felt like I ate. I felt like I gave everything because I didn't do Lion King in the sense of the movie. I did it from Broadway. I picked one of the Broadway songs and I remember I was so happy. I didn't care what the score was. I was just like, I ate. I gave everything I wanted to in that piece. My final one though had to be my Pokemon number. Because that number, well, not the Pikachu one. It was when I was Metapod and evolved into Butterfree. And the reason why that was my favorite number is because I was also in a competition when I did. And I said, no, this is me. And everyone pushed back, was like, you shouldn't do it. You shouldn't do it. They're not going to get it. They're not going to get it. And I said, stop it. Because it's what I want to do. It's what I want to do. It's not what they want. It's what I want. And they're going to score me appropriately. And so I remember I did it. And it shocked so many people. They were like, we didn't know you could be funny and sassy and fierce and give everything you got. And I said, yeah, because you didn't give me the opportunity to show you. And when you gave me that opportunity, I took it. And for me, that had to be one of my favorite numbers because when I got off, I rewatched that number 118 times because I pushed myself to a limit. That was one of the first times I jumped off a stage into a split just because I was so adrenaline of like, I'm motherfucking Butterfree right now.
I have watched your Lion King number multiple times.
Thank you. It's
most of those plays on YouTube. Right here.
Oh, thank you.
Because genuinely, that's one of those things I love. I love watching other people perform. Mm-hmm. It doesn't look like it, and people will tell you all the time, it doesn't look like it. I have really bad RBF. But when I tell you, it's just because I'm slightly autistic and I'm enjoying myself. I'm so immersed that I forget to make facial expressions. I love watching someone who loves performing. You don't have to do a single split. Mm-mm. I'll even give a shout out to the hostess who isn't here because she's on vacation. I love watching her perform every single time. And I have seen some of them multiple times. And I will still watch it every single time because that woman knows exactly how to sell a story.
Your mother, right?
Yes, my mother. The original Diamond. And it's actually interesting because I met Amethyst and Poison while supporting Alizé at Miss Stallions. I met my grandmother and my mother supporting my sister.
Hmm.
And I still have the pictures. And I still remember literally gushing to poison. Mind you, I was not new at that point. I was not new. Gushing to poison. Oh my God. You're just so entertaining. I just love it. She was handing out popcorn.
Yeah.
She was handing out popcorn. She was popping the corn and feeding the children. And I ate up every single second of it. And oh my gosh, when I tell you, like, find out what your favorite performer's favorite number is and watch it. You will not be disappointed at all. Yeah, I'll leave it there.
I keep racking my brain about what my favorite number was. And for me, it was No Time at All from Pippin. When I competed for Queen of Hope, I wanted to do a number as a woman of a certain age, just telling two kids, hey, what are you waiting for? Like, admit you're in love with each other. This is the moment. Don't be me in your 60s and single and just thinking, what if? Seize that moment. Enjoy yourself. Treat yourself. We only have one life, so it's meant to be lived.
And we talked a lot about the business side, and I know that that's what Trixie and I usually talk about. It's more than that.
Mm-hmm.
You should have your passion. While it's a job and you should be professional, why can't you enjoy yourself? If you're no longer enjoying yourself,
why are you doing it?
Why are you doing it? It's expensive. It's not cheap. It's time consuming. If it is no longer bringing you joy, let it go. And again, find what makes your heart beat faster, that makes your heart feel heavy, and when you're done, it makes your heart fly. Because when I do a power ballad of something that I really feel, it feels so heavy in the moment. It feels so heavy in that moment. And then afterwards, it feels like a weight is off of your shoulder and you feel so much better. Find your passion. Find what makes you happy. And if you can't find what makes you happy, find what makes you mad. Not everything has to be positive. Not everything that's going to fuel you is going to be positive. Take that hurt, funnel it into your drag. Don't be hateful on stage or to other performers, but use that energy instead of hating everyone to say, this hurt, and I'm going to make myself better because I deserve more.
I like to say with that, find what makes you move. What's going to give you action? What's going to make you go for whatever it is you're going for?
And these are your gifts from Mrs. Claus.
Nobody's sitting on your lap, sis.
My lap is not on camera.
Neither is mine. There's a reason why I wore a jacket.
I mean, I'm wearing a gown. My concrete grippers are definitely out.
Messes. I love it. So we've got about 12 minutes left. I want to play a little game. And this is a game I haven't played for quite some time. But I think between the two of you, this is going to be a lot of fun.
Ooh,
Alonya.
Yes.
What is one question you've always wanted to ask Trixie?
Always wanted to ask, because I feel like I'm not one for a filter.
Always wanted to ask. Do it. Do it.
No, I'm saying I've already asked her everything that I.
Oh, that's true.
Literally, I asked her when I tell you that I will call Trixie at 2:00 in the morning for the most random. Like, granted, we always talk about business.
Not always.
Not always. But let's see. Okay. I don't know, because I don't want to like put your tea out there or anything.
Oh.
We'll see. We'll see. Okay. The question I would love to ask Trixie. What's it like looking in from outside of the pretty houses? Faces.
What's it like? Can you repeat
As
that?
an outsider,
Okay.
you know, what's it like seeing people with pretty privilege?
Oh, so for me, it typically
Jade is still lost.
it gives me inspiration to go for always being prettier, you know.
And I know one day you will achieve that goal.
I knew you. This is how I say it. This is sisterhood. She's always supportive. She's always looking out for me.
I will say, as much as I read her down, you can best believe I am always going to be the person to build her up the second she needs it.
And throw
Because
hands.
that is a sisterhood. If I don't read you, I don't like you. If I read you, and I read you often, I love you. I would absolutely cut somebody's wigs up for you.
Oh,
I'll keep that PG.
I know that. No, I always admire makeup in the sense of how people use it and do it. And so a lot
That
is
wasn't a serious question. It wasn't a serious question.
Yeah, well, I'm getting to my question.
Yeah, what's my question? I'm
Yeah.
excited.
So for me, when I think about how I look at other people, for you, what is the biggest, what are,
The question that we're supposed to be asking each other is, what is the one question you've always wanted to ask but haven't asked?
Correct. And I don't think I've ever asked you, what is the biggest point in your career of drag that helped you change to who you are today?
Winning Miss Gay Pittsburgh.
Is it really?
It is, and I'll explain why. It wasn't the fact that I won the title. It has nothing to do with that. For me, I entered into pageantry for exactly 2 reasons. One, I wanted to grow and I wanted to receive that feedback. I wanted to be the best version of myself, and trust me, they nitpick everything. That is their job. If your judge isn't nitpicking, they're doing you a disservice. And it's at the cost of just your feelings. Secondly, I might be a bit of a control freak, and I had told Amethyst, I was like, I'm going to let you take over. This is my opportunity to allow somebody to have some level of control and teach me something. And when I tell you, I observed every little thing that she did. Every little thing that she did. And now when I address other people, I do the same exact things. Because my mentor is mentoring me. Even when it is not a formal mentoring session, pay attention. Pay attention to them. Your mentor you're going to them because they have more experience than you. I grew so much because I let Amethyst mentor me. And mind you, I've been doing drag for years, and at that point I was like, I don't need someone telling me how I need. Yes, you do. There's always someone who's going to do it better than you. It doesn't matter what it is. There is always room for growth. Listen to your mentors, because that's the only way you cannot grow without feedback. Where is that feedback coming from? Is it coming from someone who has your best intentions at heart?
I want to add something onto that. It's always good to have people around you that build you up and lift you. Make sure they're not just telling you the good stuff. Make sure they are holding you accountable.
Yeah.
I feel like Jade is about to say Dracarys in the most cinematic way ever at any moment now. I can't.
Dracarys.
Jocelyn is in the chat. Jocelyn is here.
It's all downhill from here.
Honestly, I could see Daenerys like at Khal Drogo's funeral, but you look like you got like the little widower's veil.
Wait a minute. Wait a
Oh,
minute.
Please pull out a dragon. Please pull out a baby dragon.
No, I don't have a dragon, but I actually have a Daenerys wig.
That was one of the talents actually this year at MGA, Miss Gay Pennsylvania America. And it was amazing.
Yep, Miss Anita Dixon.
Yep. And she did a phenomenal job.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to grow, get into a pageant. You want to get into a pageant? Guess what? Jasleen is currently in the chat. You're more than welcome to DM me. You're more than welcome to reach out to Callie Couture, who is our current state promoter for Miss Gay Pennsylvania America. Guess what? We just finished Miss Gay Pennsylvania America 3 weeks ago.
It's 3 weeks already.
Yeah. Reach out. You want to challenge yourself. You want to grow as an entertainer, and you don't know where to start. Reach out to one of the promoters.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what? Their job is to help you. They're not the same as the
general
judges.
with drag. Reach out. If you want to do it, reach out.
When you reach out, come correct.
Don't just ask for a booking.
That. And know what you're getting into. Like I talked about it a little bit at the top of this episode, but I didn't go into it too much. But I've had a performer, again, not saying her name, but she has reached out to me numerous times asking for a booking, which I'm not a show director right now. I'm not booking people. And then asks me if she wants to mess around. No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Like, that's not.
Don't sit at the table you eat at.
I had a queen years ago who just out of the blue, she's like, hey, what you up to? And I'm like, nothing, just kind of eating dinner. Oh, well, what are you thinking about? And I'm like, what do you mean, what am I thinking about? And then she was like, well, I was just wondering if you wanted to hook up or something. I'm like, no, what?
If
Don't
there's
hit on
one
me on my
thing you
drag
take
page.
from this episode, Sister Dick will make you sick.
That. This little queen moved out of the area and now she is very Trumpy. I'm like, ooh, girl, no. Posting transphobic on your Facebook page as a drag queen? No. Welcome to not being in the community anymore.
On that note, do we have any more questions?
Yeah, a last call for questions.
We don't have questions. I have one. Alonya, give me a number from 1 to 100.
7.
7. We talked about this one earlier. No, we can't do 7. We already talked about it.
Okay. I just turned 29. Let's do 29.
29.
Oh, this is recorded. Oh my gosh, I just left that.
Girl, you just outed yourself. You outed yourself real good.
So for those of you who do not have tipping as a must, look for it on Amazon.
There's the Kindle version.
29. Oh, 29. Professionalism goes a long way. It doesn't matter how good you think you are. If you aren't professional, it's a pass. Being professional is communicating, hitting deadlines, courtesy if you need to cancel, being respectful, and mindful of others.
Who wrote that?
I don't know.
That's like one of my favorite authors.
One of those purple-haired non-binaries.
We have one question in the chat.
Right. Where? Ooh. Oh, damn. Jasleen, how dare you? Where'd it go? If you could change one thing about your drag career, what would it be and why? I could do my makeup faster. That would be mine. I love the transformation. I just hate how long it takes.
That's a tough one. That's a good question.
Right? That's a pageant question right there.
You could change one.
I would say I wish that I allowed someone to mentor me earlier. Had I had and granted, you do not need a mentor to start. I went years without one, and I did well without one. I'm doing better with one. Your mentor's job is to build you and grow you. If they're not doing that, they're not your mentor. They're a friend. And sometimes they're not even that. if your mentor is not giving you feedback and helping you grow, leave. Find somebody else. And don't be so willy-nilly just because you think one person is great. Be picky. Be choosy. Because I have seen, I'm not going to name names either, but there are girls who will hop from house to house to house to house to house, burning bridges left and right. Trixie scratching her mouth because I'm sure she knows who I'm talking about. Don't be the person who goes from person to person to person to person to person. Be the person who, I worked on myself until I was ready to accept the help from others, and that's okay. I accepted the help when it was offered, and I was ready. And you can ask Amethyst. I waited. I said, can you give me like a couple of... And I weighed my options. Well, not options. I took into account, I was like, you know what? I've always admired her. I've always thought that she was just one of the most phenomenal individuals. And then she asked, and I was like, I was absolutely taken aback. I was like, me? And even now, I still tell her all the time, I'm like, well, I want to prove, like, you know, I'm a diamond. I am. And she's like, baby, you don't have to prove anything. You already proved it. That's why you're here.
Yeah.
I wish I allowed someone to mentor me. I wish that I met Amethyst earlier and that she was my mentor earlier. Don't be afraid to ask for a mentor, but make sure you're ready for a mentor. I am not just a teacher, I'm a mentor. My job isn't to get you from A to B. I want to see that you did the work for yourself and tried. I want to see you try before you ask.
Yeah.
I accepted the help when I was ready. So.
When with a pageant question, you gave a pageant answer.
We're going too long for a pageant answer.
No, I know. I'm not saying you'd be good at it, but
I mean, I'm not saying that I win question on stage question and personal interview, but
yeah. I think for me, it would be I wish I overcame my fear sooner. And so it wasn't until about 4 to 5 years being into drag when I pushed myself because I got tired of waiting for myself to do something in the sense of like growth and movement and that kind of thing. And the first 4 years of my drag, I tested the waters. I tried doing what I could. And I wish it was around, it wasn't when I was in pageant. My transitioning point, even though, yes, I was in drag pageants, maybe one day I'll go back to competing at the pageants of it. But, it was in 2019 when I used my drag platform to stand up against something that happened in my local area. And I remember I was nervous. I was scared. I wasn't sure to use my voice or what to say. And I just did it. And I did it in the intentions because it was also related to drag. But I wish I had that confidence of just saying, fuck it, and doing it sooner. Maybe like years 2, like 1 or 2 of doing it. Not almost 5 years into drag and finally just being. Because once I did that, I didn't care. I did not care where I went, who I went, what I said, what I said. I was going to do me, everything I wanted to do. I got to where I got today in the sense of my own direction and guidance. While I have a different story, I do love my drag mother as a mentor. Her support for me wasn't giving me direction. Her support was I had my own direction. And she said, if that's the way you want to go, baby, you better go. You better run and you better not slow down. And that for me, my drag mother and my mentor, that's what she did for me. Instead of saying you need to do this, this, and this, she's like, you already know what you want to do, so why aren't you doing it? That was how I did it because I'm a person that was like, I have all these thoughts and Alonya is one of the people I go, I want to do this, and she's like, so when are you going to? And
surround yourself with people who are not yes men, please.
Oh yes. Yeah.
If your friends cannot oppose your thought process, you need new friends because they are not helping you at all.
Correct.
The friends who are always telling you, you look gorgeous, when you don't, there's a difference between being supportive and feeding delusion. Yeah. Your yes men will only keep you where you are. That is why a mentor is so important because their job is not to blow smoke up your ass.
Yep.
And yes, Alize, you can take a shot because I just said mentor them.
So We are past our time and we just got 2 more questions. So let's hit these pretty quickly and then we're going to wrap up for the night.
Okay.
Vicky has a very fun question. What is one thing you're looking forward to this holiday season?
Time off.
Trixie's outfit.
Time off of work. Final answer.
Oh, nice.
Pay time off. Final answer.
I'm actually looking for the new year. I have a lot of stuff set up. So I'm like over here, like wrapping everything up. And then when New Year comes, 2025, I can't wait for those opportunities and doors to open.
So festive. I'm just wrapping it up.
I'm wrapping it up. I'm tying a bow
This
on
holiday
it. I'm putting a
season.
poinsettia to it.
Nice. And our final question for the evening.
Jade, you didn't answer the first question.
I know there was a reason. Where did your drag names come from?
Alonya,
So the first person that I had ever saw was Sharon Husbands over in the Lehigh Valley.
Nice.
She was my original, I don't want to say drag mentor. She was like the fairy drag mother. She wasn't my drag mother, but she was still offering me advice. And you don't always need a drag, again, you don't always need a drag mother. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's so punny and I love it. I was like, I need something original and I need it to be as disgusting as humanly possible while still flying under the radar. And along came Alonya Chest.
No notes.
Hyphen Diamond. In the pageant's face, it's just Alonya Diamond.
Mine's pretty easy. I wanted to think of names that I felt pretty in and that were not really basic at the time. So like you couldn't really hear it when you were out and about. But when you heard the name, it was like it could sound like a real name. So Trixie was my original name. And then I added Valentine, I think 6 months after, because there was originally Trixie V. Valentine was because I started drag 2 days after Valentine's Day. So February 16th. And so when I put it together, I liked the way my mouth moved. So I liked saying Trixy Valentine and having all those syllables. So the way I said it, where I was able to exaggerate my mouth. So essentially, it was actually because of the way your mouth moves when you say my name, why I loved it. So Trixy Valentine. And I also spell mine with a Y, if we're not throwing shade to anyone, but just let you know. It's spelled a little differently. Why is it spelled with a Y? Because
no, I'm emphasizing the Y.
Oh, Y, yes. Trixy. Fewer letters, which means fewer things for me to fuck up on with the dyslexia. So, you know, but that's essentially why I did Trixy Valentine. I am a Daniels. Technically, in some shows, when I'm only with my drag mother, I'll be Trixie V. Daniels because I am in the House of Daniels. But yeah,
nice. And mine is, my eye color is green, so Jade, and Devere, the person who supposedly wrote all of Shakespeare's stuff. He didn't. I've read his poetry. It's awful. But love compared to a tennis play. No, he didn't write Hamlet. Anyway.
Speaking of the Lion King.
Listen. So we have reached the end of our time for this evening, but I want to give you both a chance to say goodnight to everybody who is watching this evening. And we are going to start with Alonya.
Can you say the prompt one more time? I got distracted by Trixie saying, I have ADHD so bad. Sorry. Say it one more time.
Alonya.
You moved your hands and I was...
Do you want to know what I just did? I was like going to point to Trixie and I'm like, nope, I'm mirrored. That's where we're at.
Good night, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. If you are a new performer and you're looking for help, not me, but someone else. No, I'm joking with you. Please reach out. Reach out. I don't have RBF in DMs. Reach out. Know that you have a community. Know that as long as you're supporting your community and helping build it up, it will. I always say, when you build up your community will build up you.
Mm-hmm. Love that. Trixie, anything to add?
You can find me at Trixy Valentine Trixy _ Valentine on Instagram. You can find me at Juicy with Jade. I am an entrepreneur, a person with a few degrees, but most importantly, none of that defines me. It's the character in which you see in front of you that will both support you and tell you how it is. That's just called being loving and direct at the same time. And if you want that, don't reach out to me, reach out to Alonya. She does it better. Mm-hmm.
Amazing. Mm-hmm. Girls, thank you so much for joining me this evening. It was so much fun to just sit here and reconnect. And like the three of us haven't been together since I was on Glitter on My Tips.
Over a year ago.
Yeah, that was so much fun. Like everybody out there, make sure you're following Glitter on My Tips. Keep on watching Inside the Drag Closet. Please go support local drag. I'm very excited about our next episode in 2 weeks because I have gotten one of my favorite performers who I did not know was available, and she told me she could do the show, so I'm super excited. All the way from Rehoboth Beach, we have the incredible Roxy Overbrook joining us that evening. Amethyst and I will also both be here, so make sure you tune in on Wednesday, December 18th at 8:30 p.m. And everybody, you know, the holidays are coming up. Go out there, make good choices, take care of yourselves, and we'll see you soon. Bye.
Thank you for joining us on Inside the Drag Closet.